we're just gonna start out by asking, like, what's your favorite coffee from Revive?
It's gonna be a New Day because that
Okay.
was the first time when I met you guys. That was the coffee you guys were serving inside the prison,
Yes.
and it was, like our friend was saying, it was like the best tasting coffee that we had because we've been drinking Folgers so much. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So once we, after we did that turkey trot
Mm.
and we drank that coffee, it was just like, man, I even took the cup back to myself. So
You kept it for later.
oh yeah, you
Yeah.
know, all the way till I left. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
They took it from me because they once
Yeah.
they're packing up your property,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you gotta throw some trash. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
but here we are.
Here we are. Yeah. So we're just gonna hear your story, Ryan. So where were you born, and what was your background and your childhood?
I was born in San Bernardino, California,
Okay.
and I was born at San Bernardino Community. Actually, my mom, she was gonna get her tubes tied,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And she went to St. Berdine's,
Wow.
and they didn't do that because it's a Catholic, I guess, hospital or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up sending her over to San Bernardino Community,
Okay.
and she found out that she was pregnant,
Wow.
and here I am.
Wow.
So yeah. Anyways, we from San Bernardino, we moved to Redlands, and that's where I grew up and went to school and to high school and stuff. And my dad was never there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so my childhood was pretty rough. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was always seeing kids, with the fathers, and families, and I was just this broken kid. You know what I mean? Fatherless. And it took a toll on me. And my mom had met a man and kind of took over as like my father figure. Got me involved in sports, hunting, fishing,
Wow.
all that. And he was, like my best friend. And when I was about 11, he ended up packing up his truck one day and drove off.
Wow.
He said, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to be the man in the house,"
Wow.
and I just tore me up, man.
Mm.
And I was on Ritalin as a kid, and couldn't stay focused in school. And
Mm.
so when that happened,
Yeah.
that it took a just a dramatic, toll on me,
Mhm.
and it hurt me so bad, and I had to leave
Wow.
class and go outside and cry
Wow.
because it's just I lost my dad, my father, and like so. Time went on, and I just kind of like put that hurt, got over it, you know what I mean, and then my grandpa had passed away, and he was the person that kept the family together, and then
Wow.
that broke apart.
Mm.
So at 16, I just left, you know what I mean, and just took off and just was out on my own, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and I started using at 15
Yeah.
and running the streets and living that life, you know what I mean, and been in and out of jail since I've been 18,
Wow.
and I would meet these women that, they have, a kid, and it was like a family setting,
Mm-hmm.
and I just was drawn to that, and I guess, just my family didn't want nothing to do with me when I was living that life,
Yeah.
They said, as long as you're on the drugs, we don't nothing to do with you. They gave me tough love,
Mhm.
and I believe it was for the better, you know what
Right.
I mean,
Right.
because
Right.
they would have been enabling me,
Yeah.
So, and it started from there, you know what I mean, and then, been in and out of jail,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And what did you go to prison for? What was the one that made you really go to prison in the Stockton prison?
I got locked up for carjacking,
Okay. Yeah.
and it messed me up, and
Mhm.
it's because I'm all that drugs and everything, and it turns you into a monster.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like people out there. I think about that stuff now. I was
Mhm.
like, I never could do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns you into a different person.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I got 11 years for that,
Wow.
and county jail. It was a journey. And once I hit the prison, that was a whole another journey, you know, in itself.
Wow.
But you know, God is amazing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's so many stories that, you know, like I've had it while I was in county jail, and
Right.
then from county jail went to reception, and then from reception, that's when I got to the prison yard. That's when it really took a toll on me.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, I mean, I don't want anyone to be in prison, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, people, like with videos, movies and stuff, people always think like, you know, prison is a bad thing, and like, you know, society puts us separate, you know what I mean? Like we're no good,
Yeah.
you know, but really there's those people that are hurting,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like myself,
Yeah.
and self-medicating,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just, it's sad, you know what I mean? But we all have our own spiritual journey, you know what I mean? And here I am,
Yeah.
you know? And then I met you guys that when you came to the prison, it was just seeing other Christians, especially when you guys were serving in there, it was just awesome, you know what I mean? And you were actually the first Christian from the outside that I met,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was just so cool to experience, and that's when we were talking, and I was sharing my testimony with you, and like I felt like I knew you forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. And just how has Revive really made an impact on you? Back in November, a team of us went and served at the Stockton prison. What was like impact? What was the impact that you just left when we were there and we served you? What did you walk away from that experience? And what was the impact that was on you?
Well, it was. I remember we were walking away,
Yeah.
and to see people from the outside accepting us for who we are,
Yeah.
not just as an inmate,
Yeah.
but treating us like we're human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys were there with your arms wide open, taking
Come
us
on.
in and
Yeah.
loving on us. So
Yeah.
it was. I never experienced that. So, you know what I mean? As long as I've been, you know what I mean? It's just the guards and stuff. Some of them were cool, some of them were not, you know?
Yeah.
It was, man, it was just like, you know, I remember that day, you know, clear as day till today,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It was the craziest thing I remember when we were serving there. I don't know if it was you or somebody else at the prison, but they just said, man, it's crazy. Like, nobody said that we're, because I would tell people, you know, the reason we're here is because we want to make sure you guys are seen and that you're known and that you're not forgotten, that we see you, and that, you know, we just want to serve you. And they were just blown away by that. And they're like, nobody's told us that since like 1995 or something like that, when we first got into prison. And I think at that moment I realized, like, wow, like, it's just the small things. Like, it's the simple things of just literally loving someone who's not seen, or somebody that's maybe an overlooked person in a city. And I mean, there's so many countless people in a city that are overlooked that we just kind of brush by. And the crazy part is all we did was come and serve coffee. It's not like we did something crazy and put on this huge event. We just came and served coffee and was able to have a conversation with you, and now we're here, like, getting to do an interview and getting to share your story, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. There's just, you know, there's a lot of people in there that are hurting,
Yeah.
you know, and to leave that place and to leave everyone behind, because they're still doing time and they're still going through all that stuff, and that, you know what I mean, and I feel for them,
Yeah.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and it was I believe I had to go through that journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had everything that happened. God had His hand in it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, everything happens. I believe it for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and some people get hurt along the way. Some, you know what I mean, or you know. But at the end, you know what I mean. I'm still got the rest of my life. You know what I mean, and you know, society today, it's like, you know, I don't care who I share my story with. If they
Right.
don't accept it and they want to say that, oh, he's a criminal, stay away from him, I'm okay
Right.
with that.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I made some mistakes, but I'm not going to let my past define my future,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
there's a pastor that said this. He says, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And that's what I want to do now is I want to make a living amends. And even though I can't contact my victims, I want to live my life and serve. You know what I mean? And something that I've never done. You know what I mean? I've already lived my life. You know what I mean? I lived that wicked life. Now it's time that I want to get back. You know what I mean? And if I can go back into the prison and share my story with people, then I want to do that. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna let God just lead the way.
Yeah.
You know, and to be here sitting with you, you know what I mean? I know that there's a purpose.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate
Sounds
you,
good.
you know, having me here and being able to talk about, you know, how we met and my story and my testimony, you know,
Yeah, man.
and
Yeah.
this good cup of a new day right here, you know.
Let me pour some, and then I'll ask you like the last question that we got. This is probably my favorite coffee. It's actually the first coffee we released from Revive, so. Yeah, my last question to you was, for someone who's actually currently walking in the same place that you were in your past of just living in secret and continuing to run to crime and all these bad things that you shouldn't be doing, what would you say to them, somebody who's in the same shoes that you were in, what would you say to them to encourage them?
Well, one day I was sitting in a Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
And I got promoted I was a maintenance mechanic. I got promoted as a maintenance director. And here I got out Christmas Eve, right? And I was sitting there and I seen these homeless guys and I saw myself.
Wow.
And when I walked out, they had asked me for some money.
Wow.
And I told them, I don't got no money because all I had was just a debit card. But I told them I got a prayer. And the guy said, let's go. So I prayed with them and I told them, I said, you know, I got out of prison Christmas Eve. And they're looking at me like, what? And I said, I've been where you're at.
Wow.
I've been on the streets, living that life, doing drugs, you know? And I said, and God pulled me out of that. But God's just not going to put it in your lap. You got to put in the work. You got to want it yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to get out of this, you can do it because there's resources out there. You just got to pursue it. You know, and I told him, I said, if he can do it for me, he can do it for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I can relate to so many people, you know, growing up without a father, you know, and which I've been searching for this whole time, which I have one in heaven,
Come on.
you know? And, you know, like, you just gotta, you gotta come to the end of yourself. Until you stop searching through other things and start searching from within,
Yeah.
then you know what I mean? I try to, like, you know, tell people that, you know, it's like there's a bucket of crabs, right? One crab's trying to climb out the top,
Yeah.
and all his buddies say, hey, where you going? And pulls him back down. You gotta change your environment, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's everywhere.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And to be in that spot, you just gotta, like, you gotta want it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You gotta want it.
Yeah.
No one can do it for you but yourself. And if anything, I encourage you that, you know, it has to come within.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think, like, you know, something I thought of as you were talking is that kind of the way that society works is people hear these stories of, like, people's life being changed and getting out of prison or, you know, whatever it would be. And then it sounds like this beautiful thing, and then all of a sudden everything else is good and there's no more struggles in life after this time of you being out of prison. But there's still, in this today, like, there's still struggles you go through and there's still hard things you have to work through, right? And I think I was just reminded as you were talking that it's not just like 5 steps, and you got to follow these 5 steps, and then all of a sudden everything's great, and but really it's just a process.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a daily process of, okay, like I don't want to go back to who I was, and I'm gonna seek what's in front of me and where I'm being called now, instead of seeking after my past. Um, I think, yeah. So for people watching, just it's not a 5 step thing. It's a daily process,
Yeah.
and
it's a daily commitment.
yeah, yeah,
You know, and it's one day at a time. You know,
yeah,
it's not going to happen overnight.
yeah,
It's a process, like you're saying. You know, like
yeah,
I'm 33 years old, and look how long it took me.
yeah,
You know, and I thank God that I stopped before I got even. You know what I mean? And I started at 15, and I've been clean since December 2018. And I just want to serve, man. I just want to, and I'm not saying that like my story can help anyone. You know, I hope it impacts at least one person.
yes.
There can be
Yeah.
1,000 people in a crowd, and if I hit just one person and encourage that person, I feel like I'm making a difference. You know, and I just tell God, just use me. You know, you get the glory, just use me.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
you know, I don't want to get, you know, just I want to get away out of myself, you know what I mean, and get out, let God just lead me. So,
yeah. And at the end of the day, we're all just broken people
yeah,
that are in need of a bigger hope than just us.
Yeah.
And so, again, for people watching, it's not just a answer that we can come up with on our own. You know, it's so much bigger than ourselves.
Oh,
And yeah, the last question I actually had was, what do you want to do now that you're out of prison? What is your dream? What is your goals in life, and like the top tier thing that you could do now that you're out of prison? What would that be?
you know, I always sat in my cell, and I always
Yeah.
thought like I had this vision
Yeah,
of what I was going to do when I got out.
yeah,
But it's something that completely different. And it's just everything that I've been going, like just since I've been out, you know, God
Yeah.
healed my family. We're back together, and my sister, that after so many years, she's like my best friend now. And,
Wow.
you know, and so like what I want to do is just I really want to go back into the prison, and I
go.
want to talk to guys, and you know what I mean, just let them know that they're not alone. You know what I mean, that I've been there, you know, and you're not forgotten. And I think my passion now is just serving.
Wow.
You know? And like when I go to Bayside Church, and when I go to Bayside, I raise my hand table and I volunteer there, and people come up to me not knowing my past, and God's using me to pray for them. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's such a humbling experience. Like I got baptized in February, and you know, like when I was always sitting in my cell and I would watch on Hillsong channel, people putting their hands up and worshiping, I was like, man, I want to be there. I want to be there.
Yeah.
And the moment that I actually got to go to a church, my sister told me about, was Bayside, and I just threw my hands up and I had a moment and I started crying and I said, thank you, God. Thank you. And he just started showing up, and just everything that he started revealing to me, you know what I mean? And pastor from the prison, you know, like him and I are still in contact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's just, I just want to serve, man. I just
Yeah.
want to serve.
Yeah.
Whatever God wants. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, there's probably people watching that might be like, wow, you know, I don't like that he's talking about God or church or these things, but yeah, I mean, if you're watching and you're maybe taken back by him and Ryan mentioning Jesus and church and all these things that have changed you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a journey that you've walked, right?
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
like you just found it. I mean, you had to reach your bottom, like you said.
Oh yeah, you know.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't an easy process at all. There's probably moments where you were just at the lowest point in your life, you
Oh,
know?
man,
Yeah.
it was, man. I just remember it all the time, and every time when I share the story, I just get emotional,
Mm.
you know, and because here I am, just an old wretched man,
Yeah.
and I don't, I never thought that, you know, that my past can be turned around and use it for good,
Mm.
and to be able to share with people, you know what I mean, my struggles, you know, and hopefully I can help them, you know what I mean? But like I said, it all starts with yourself.
Mm.
If you want the help, it's out there.
Yeah.
You just gotta
Yeah.
pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much bigger than us. Like there's so many I think so often I can think for myself like, wow, you know, I'm doing pretty good. Like life is doing pretty well. Um, but realizing like, man, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Jesus in my life. And I think that is literally something that is so encouraging for me to hear your story, and it's been encouraging for me to remember that, you know, and um, yeah, all through a cup of coffee. Like it's pretty simple, but yeah, all through a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Till next time.